everybody. Welcome to Roundtable Live. My name is Bear, joined by Northern Line Mathis Games and Rock Lee Smile. Hi.
Hello,
everybody.
It's been so long. How you guys doing?
It's good.
Yeah?
Good.
Okay.
You know,
Just
good.
totally uneventful in such a way that you all just mimic the same sound?
Well, it's polite to just say good, unless that's the conversation to be had.
Yeah, do you want to now
yeah.
get into it? Let's all talk about stuff.
I suppose so, yeah. No, that could be a good way to occupy the first 20 minutes. Just give me a rundown. How you doing? We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, though, as a result of being away for a little while. Apologize for that. We have got ourselves a big, juicy story, actually. 20 years of a patent now finally being lifted by Namco on interactive loading screens, which
Oh boy.
is a lot more interesting than it sounds, believe it or not. And as well, there's a game jam associated with it, too, so we want to talk about that a little bit. A new board game from the creators of This War of Mine, in the same theme as the game itself, which I thought was particularly interesting, too. There is a little bit of news coming in the way of PS2 emulation on the PS4. Not too much, but we'll touch on that briefly. Just Cause 3 has also been released. We're going to talk about that game. And Metal Gear Solid 5 has a really interesting, not really an ARG, more of like just an alternate ending sort of thing going on right now that we definitely want to touch on as well. But to start off with, I want to say first of all that I've probably played about 45 more hours of Fallout 4 in the past week or so, man. It's been an excellent, I don't want to be sad or anything, it's been an excellent coping mechanism, but I've mostly just been building stuff. And I know we ripped on the building system last time, but I went out and I got a few more of those picket fence magazines,
Yeah.
you know, the ones that give you the new items and stuff. And it doesn't really make a big difference, but it is kind of nice to have a few more options now, too. But I totally made just this ridiculous, I'm calling it my Grand Budapest Hotel of Fallout 4. So I made like a 4 or 5 story metal shack amalgamation of nonsense, basically. That's just kind of like, it's the ugliest thing, but I'm so proud of it because it just looks like this horrible abomination that I've attached staircases to everywhere. There's turrets on either side. If you ever tried to go stay there, I don't know if you'd ever really be too into it. But
Sounds like I did something similar. I created like a 3 or 4 level hooker hotel.
oh, good, that's better.
So like the first floor is like the cheap, like free, you can just fuck on the sleeping bags that I put around. It's
Okay.
like second floor, you know, there's a little bit of separation, no real doorways. You can still hear and see people. Go to the top floor, it's like got a toilet, it's got like a door, an actual bed.
Okay.
People below
Oh,
you are still gonna
door.
hear you, but like, you know, the hooker hotel, it's pretty sweet, man. I like it.
Dude,
I'm with
there's
you.
mods already for build mode. There's ones that adds like a ton of new items to it that you
Nice.
could normally get, and then there's also one that removes the limit for how tall you can make structures. So you can build
Oh,
up
that's
into the
good.
sky and look down on everybody in the
See, that's
wasteland.
how I make my giant dong. I need just,
Nice.
I'm not going to be limited by 50 stories here, man. We're talking about to the moon sort of
Make a
shit.
proper red rocket.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm still trying to just make sure that when I build like a house, it's not 6 inches above the ground accidentally, so that people just like bump into it over and over.
Well, that's my favorite part about mine is I built it at the Taffington boathouse, so it's all just out over the water with absolutely no support structure underneath it.
That's pretty
But it
sweet.
works.
Yeah, it's all just totally suspended. I even went so far as to like make it completely obvious. There's just this suspension that like it looks like the weight of it would obviously, you know, just like Leaning Tower of Pisa style at some point, but yeah, it works apparently. Let's talk about something else though. Let's talk about loading screens. The most
Oh, I love
interesting
those.
part of the gaming space, right?
There's a lot of those in Fallout, actually.
They really are.
Get out of that topic.
That's a very good segue. So, article I'm reading here is from Gama Sutra. Namco has held a U.S. patent on a certain intellectual design since 1995. This was U.S. patent. I don't know if you're keeping score at home, but let me fill you in. This is U.S. patent number 5,718,632, if you were curious. But that's set to expire here in 2015, and that's sort of opening the door for a lot more people to now get into developing and designing cool interactive loading screens. That's the entire idea, by the way, is the interactive loading screen. That's what they call it. So that was sort of pioneered by Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer had a built-in playable version of, it wasn't Galaga, but it was like a variant of Galaga or something, right? I forget what the actual name of it
I
is.
actually thought it was Gallica, personally.
I wasn't told that we'd be answering Ridge Racer trivia on today's show. I feel
At what
woefully
point are you
unprepared.
not prepared to answer Ridge Racer trivia?
I've never played a Ridge Racer game, honestly.
But you do know the Ridge Racer.
I know Ridge Racer.
There you go, yeah.
You know?
See,
They're
that's all you
always
need to
like
know.
a launch title for a new console.
You know the meme.
Exactly.
Teach the meme, not the controversy.
But as we mentioned, the patent is set to expire this year, and to celebrate that, there is a giant jam going on. The loading screen jam, which is accepting submissions for, just basically games that are designed to be, or what it seems like it's meant to be games designed to fit into a loading screen, which is pretty neat. But I really like this idea in general, but I also completely understand that no company was really willing to pay money to be able to do something like this, because that just seems like a totally ridiculous investment, right?
Yeah, I feel like it would be dumb. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not going to sell you any more copies of the game. Buy our game, and while it loads, play a sweet mini game.
No one's advertising that, yeah.
If you'll allow me to put on my PC Master Race hat for the first time.
Do you
I've been
have
playing. Well, I can have
wearing
one
it
made.
right now.
I'll 3D print one over here if
Yeah.
you need me to. But I've been playing games off of my SSD, and I'm like, what loading screens?
Yeah.
I don't need a game for my loading screens anymore. I've got the game is my loading screen. That doesn't really make any sense, but you get the idea.
Yeah. So now, this argument is certainly being made. Now, we do have to note the fact that solid-state drives are not as, universal as we want them to be at this point. So not everybody gets to enjoy the luxury of that. And even so, there's still loading times to be had. They're just dramatically reduced. But I like loading screens that try to make it not a loading screen. It's just something like Fallout 4, for example. I appreciate Bethesda's attempt at making something a little more interesting, but there's only so many times I can rotate around my gun before I've decided, okay, so that for this next 7.5 minutes, I'm going to go make a sandwich and not really worry about what I'm doing here.
Well, I thought they did it right with Dark Souls, honestly, giving you little bits of lore and things that sort of enrich you more on the game's concept. I mean, the Fallout thing was sort of in that direction, only it was more just look at this pretty 3D model.
Yeah.
That only goes so far. I'd rather learn something and have there be enough diversity that if you're going to have to keep staring at this, at least it's something different every time.
Yeah.
Remember the sweet Budokai loading screens on my PS2 Dragon Ball Z fighting game of Goku just eating a bunch of rice bowls as fast as I possibly could.
Yeah.
There's
That
nothing wrong with
added a
that,
lot.
man. Yeah, that adds value for sure. I think my favorite loading screens are the ones that actually give you something to do. There have been a couple over the years that unfortunately, of course, Namco has the patent for it. I think the way it works is when you have a patent for something, you don't have exclusive rights to it. You can people can buy the ability to utilize that technology.
Well, you can license it, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
the
that how it
licensing. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was referring to as far as people not really being willing to pay for that. Because when you look at it from a business perspective, as we mentioned, there's no real inherent value in something so silly, but it was, I think, important enough for them to patent it, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone through the trouble.
Why were they allowed to patent it? That doesn't. It's in a video game already.
The 90s, man. A long time ago.
This
Weird
is one of those
time.
Amazon patenting white photography or white background photography.
Yeah.
Yes,
What are these
or
weird
rounded
video
rectangles.
jams?
I like you laying back as those, it's the 90s, man. It was a crazy time back then. We were all
Wild
just
West
patenting
in the
shit
video
left
game
and right.
world.
Yeah.
If you could remember it, you weren't really there.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out really how important it is as far as opening the doors to people. It's obviously not as big as something like if we were to patent the idea of a gun in a game, and then obviously that would be closing a lot more doors for people. But I like how enthusiastic people are being about it too. Loading screen jam in general existing is pretty awesome, and I think there's a lot more room for loading screens to become awesome, even though I guess the ideal scenario is just to eliminate them completely in the future. Which is close to happening.
So.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about what happens if you start to make loading screens that are loading screens for other loading screens. If the main event never gets there, you'll just end up in this mirror that faces itself.
Yo, you ever
Mario
read those
Party.
stories people take like too much DMT or something, and then they live like an entire life in their head in like 5 minutes or something like that. You'll boot up the game, and then you'll be playing it, and you'll play for like 40 hours, and it'll end, and then the real game will load. You'll be like, whoa!
You never know.
An entire life
terrifying.
In 5 minutes.
How deep does it go?
I don't know.
We're just a loading screen for the actual podcast, actually.
I think that it could be. This could be the loading screen for real life. Honestly.
Oh man, we should have called our podcast the loading screen. That's a way better name. Oh no, I gotta rebrand everything.
Let's do it. Honestly, let's just go for it now.
Can we just change it now? Okay, how do we do that? How do we go through the whole process? So I'll just
go to the top of the Twitch page and you just rewrite the title. And then
Done.
You gotta go to the patent office.
Yeah, definitely.
Find the person who gave Namco that patent. And
He's
then
still working there, I'm sure.
Grease the palms a little bit.
have you patented roundtables yet?
Yeah, actually, no. We're now the exclusive dealer of roundtables for.
Well, there's another
probably
podcast that like does book reviews.
There is,
You
yeah.
go after them.
Mhm,
You got to
they've-
patent like digital roundtables, though.
Right.
We only sell you digital roundtables.
Interactive digital roundtables is really the only thing we've got going on. So it's fun. It's mostly fun. I'm glad now that we have the freedom to explore being able to play Pong while I wait for Just Cause 3 to load up again. That's gonna be good.
I hear it's really long on consoles.
I saw that it has loading times that are like 1 minute and 45 seconds. That is a long loading screen, if you ask me personally.
Yeah, think about how long 1 minute and 45 seconds is. What topic could we cover in 1 minute and 45 seconds?
If we just stayed silent for the next 105 seconds, it would be really awkward. But that would let you feel how long it would take at least.
I don't know if we're that desperate to fill time on today's show, but maybe we'll save that for another segment.
It's possible. We'll see.
Let's see if I can cover the fact that PS2 emulation is available now on the PS4 in 1 minute and 45 seconds. I bet we could do that.
And we're done.
And that's it. Yeah, congratulations.
So this is for like, is it for a jailbroken PS4 or is it for like backwards compatibility?
This appears to be, it's an actual Sony initiative that they are now looking to get a lot more PS2 titles available for emulation. They've started off with 3 classic Star Wars games, including Jedi Starfighter and Bounty Hunter, and it appears to be doing quite well. What's interesting is that they apparently are very capable of getting these games to run at 60 FPS very smoothly, and like it looks terrific, I guess, on these older titles, which seems interesting to me. I don't remember playing anything at 60 FPS back in the day on the PS2, right? Like that didn't even seem like a concept I was familiar with at the time.
Yeah, I don't remember that either. There was probably something, but I don't know what it was.
But yeah, that's that whole story.
Well, I remember, if we want to get a little deeper into the emulation thing, I remember back when the PlayStation 3 launched, it came with, what was it called, Nick? You were probably
backward compatible. I had the 60 gig one.
It had the emotion chip built in, right?
The emotion engine from the PS2. That had the functional hardware of a PS2 built into a PS3.
Then they ripped that out to make the system cheaper because nobody was willing to pay $600 for a system. Then they brought back emulation later on, and I was like, I feel like I'm living the same fucking news article from back then.
Yeah.
And then they basically traded off the software emulation for now you can buy this shit on PSN again. Yeah. Which is like, come on, man! You took away our ability to put in discs of any kind. Then you let us put in some discs, and now you're saying you can't put in any discs. You got to buy it again.
It's your fault. We didn't pay $600 for the original PS3, so now they're just gonna nickel and dime us.
That's a valid point. Yeah,
I honestly was really mad about that personally. I still kind of have a chip on my shoulder about it.
How close are we to the death of the disc? How close is that to happening?
I expected us to be at this point.
Yeah, I mean we're close. I don't say we're. Depends on what you clarify as close. 5 to 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. I'd say it's within the realm of possibility that in the next decade or so, we're just not selling physical copies anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm on the fence. Mm-hmm. As someone who buys something or buys everything digitally, if possible, I still think that there are some people out there, and more than 10% of the population that is like, I need a disc for this, or it doesn't feel right for reasons like Nick was kind of hitting at. Sometimes if you have a digital game, you could actually just lose it in the transfer from one console generation to the next one. So I think for at least like longer than that, I think there's going to be some market for it. But I think it's becoming increasingly niche. Yeah. On PC, we're already there. Like, if you ever go to the PC section of like a GameStop or a Best Buy or something like that, it's like
it's all games from 2004.
It's World of Warcraft.
it's WoW and like SimCity 2013 and like Family Feud titles basically, and then Bejeweled, like on disc copies of Bejeweled 3.
Lots of them too, a whole bunch.
There are a ton. They have what they would lack in width, they make up for in depth.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure.
I think. Nick's point was that, with the transition between consoles at the moment, it's kind of difficult to, account for the change in format. But I think now we're at the point where I don't expect I'm going to have any difficulty whatsoever in transferring the digital content I have on my consoles from this generation onto whatever we have in the next generation. I feel like that problem, well, just because it's all just purely digital now, right?
No,
unless they think they can profit
make
from
not able to use those titles again. They want you to have to buy them a second and third and fourth. Look at Nintendo. They've been doing it for 20 years.
PlayStation's doing it this year. I mean, like, with Uncharted digital purchases, they don't transfer over to the PS4, I don't think. I think you can get them at a discount, if I remember correctly.
Okay, that sucks, but...
Your theory is, like, optimal, but it doesn't pan out that way. They don't want you to do that.
They want to make money.
Well, no, certainly that makes sense from a business standpoint, but I'm trying to look at it like, if I've got an 8 gigabyte file for Dying Light, I don't know how accurate that is, and then...
No, you got it.
Is that right? Oh, wow, that's good.
No.
And then, for the next Xbox console, I don't foresee that they're just going to make me say, oh, that old Xbox One digital version of that game that you had, that's not going to function on this brand new technology. It's just a file.
No, they're going to say, well, remember on the PS3 it had 9 cores, right? Well, we can't emulate 9 cores ever again, so there's going to be no way to ever use those files. You're just going to have to let us do the emulation for you, and then you can stream it from our server at a nominal subscription cost.
Has this been happening to me this whole time, and I just was blissfully unaware?
They rolled out on you like a year ago, man.
There's never been, except for like the PlayStation 2, there's never really been backwards compatibility built in.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm used to.
Well, in the very first PS3s.
Did they? Okay, yeah. And then, obviously the Xbox One to Xbox 360 didn't have backwards compatibility for everything.
Right.
And the Xbox 360 to original Xbox didn't either. So,
and I don't know. Man. They've had the same games being resold every generation under some new guise. They add like 1 or 2 titles a month. And they profit a ton from these ridiculous markups. It doesn't cost them anything to host them.
And then once you own the original, they give you the HD remaster that you're going to buy again.
Yeah. No,
levels.
I don't want to preach ignorance that I've been unaware of the fact that every Game of the Year edition and re-release and all these HD remakes and all this shit has been happening. I just don't feel like it's been an egregious offense of not allowing us to be able to play the games we had before. I feel the amount of effort being put toward that is maybe being overemphasized.
I have to point out my mistake as well. The Wii actually played GameCube games, like out of the box.
That's true. Literally just put them in the slot. That's true.
Yeah, and it had 4 GameCube controller ports.
Now
that I think back to how the Wii looked, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I thought you were going to correct my mistake about the size of Dying Light's files.
Well, it's got to be like at least 30, man.
Game Boy Advance played Game Boy Color games, too.
Okay, see, there we go. Nintendo's not all evil. Come on now. They're giving us a little bit of nostalgia every now and then, throwing us a bone.
I have purchased Super Mario World about 8 times, though.
That's
I
fair.
guess it's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
I guess it's on me, but,
Do you mean that, you've purchased the original Super Mario World, or you keep buying the new Mario games?
I've purchased probably
the same title.
2 Super Nintendo cartridges of Super Mario World, and then probably the Game Boy Advance remake of it, and then 4 virtual copy instances or virtual console instances of it.
See, that just could have just as easily been a nod toward, I've been buying the same Mario game since I was 8 years old. Right. They just keep remaking it, which I do.
So this PS2 emulation, is this just going to be sort of a repeat of what we just did last generation? Or are they going to do like Nintendo and add 1 title at a time over the next 5 years?
Well, that's sort of what we're dealing with as far as Xbox's backwards compatibility now that they're talking about, too, where we got that initial list that didn't really seem that promising, and then it's starting to get a little bit better. I think we'll see something similar here for the PS2 emulation. It's probably even just a direct competition toward Microsoft.
It is, I would think.
Yeah. Seems
and
like
they're just going to pick titles that make sense for their marketing of that month. They're like, well, this game's coming out, so let's throw a nod to that and say we'll let you play this other one of the same generation.
Yeah. I mean, they've got... It's when you look at it that way, it's a pretty easy way to just reintroduce all of your old products again, you know?
Dude, I'm pretty stoked to play Star Wars Bounty Hunter, though.
Yeah?
I'm going to play Star Wars Bounty Hunter while drinking out of the Subway Star Wars collectible cup while applying my CoverGirl Star Wars makeup style. That exists, by the way.
Get some Star Wars grapes, man. Those are real.
If you haven't been watching people... Star Wars is so everywhere that they have a commercial for Star Wars makeup.
Star Wars cereal?
Describing the entirety of my December.
I was goddamn mind.
Not only do those exist in Mathis's world, but he is actively seeking out the stuff that he hasn't found yet.
I was at the grocery store 2 days ago, and there was like C-3PO Reese's Puffs, and I was like, oh shit.
God.
Don't worry, I've already had the Darth Vader marshmallow cereal.
How's that?
It was all right.
Pretty tasty?
I wouldn't buy it again.
All right. No, they've got, I mean, obviously they've got a pretty hearty lineup of...
Don't be mad, Nick. I'm allowed to be excited about
things. Consumerism.
I like it. I want it. I need it. I need it.
There's only 18 more days of it left, man, and then you get the after-release trailers that you get to watch.
As soon as the movie comes out, then no one talks about it ever again.
That'll be done. They're all just waiting, you know? They get their build-up, their 1 day of extreme climax, and then it's all over. They've got a refractory period for Star Wars content.
Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son from his homosexual tryst with Luke Skywalker on Kashyyyk.
Whatever, man. I am allowed to be pumped for it.
You are allowed to be pumped for it.
Kylo Ren is when the reverse singularity happened and they put R2-D2's consciousness into a human's body. That's one of Jango Fett's clones.
Kylo Ren backwards is Nair Olik, who is a former basketball player.
Dude, how dope would it be if you were the first person to make Kylo Ren's name backwards and it just spelled like Luke's son or something like that?
It's a little too easy.
You're just like, shit.
Markiplier email moment.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'm waiting for,
be mad at me for being pumped for Star Wars, whatever.
I can't be, man. It's exciting, isn't it? Although I think it is. How likely do you think it is that this was a paid promotion by Disney?
If it was, then where's our cut, is what I would ask.
Okay, no, not what we're talking about here, although it clearly was. But I'm talking about the games made available in PS2 emulation. Do you think
Disney's behind the whole initiative?
Do you think Disney paid to have those Star Wars games be the first ones made available for emulation?
I mean, think about it. It could be Disney, or just could be them being like, this is an opportunity for us to make some money.
Yeah, that makes way more sense, right? But I don't know, the marketing machine.
On top of the freaking idea, they don't care, and it's not going to sell that many systems or games. It's just another little added value, is all it is.
Yeah. I think there are just like sects of their marketing department that are dedicated to just the most niche audiences they could possibly think of. They're just going out there. They're looking for the people that are like fucking looking for Star Wars memorabilia attached to their whiteboards. It's like, remember, while you're writing down your tasks for the day, Star Wars The Force Awakens. In case you forgot.
Just give me more Star Wars lore. I'm down.
It would be really sweet if they could just like pay, instead of like a church bell ringing at every hour, it could just say like Star Wars The Force Awakens out in public. So at 12 o'clock noon, it'd be like Star Wars.
Well, there is a Jedi religion, so it would actually be a reasonable tie-in.
Okay. Where are they based
It's an actual religion in Australia, I think, yeah.
Oh, boy. I don't think I can hear a bell from
I don't want to necessarily offend people, but in my head, I'm making air quotes and saying actual religion.
Well, yeah, I think it's just
everyone is, man. It's fun.
All right, so I'm going to play a little fun game here with you guys since we're talking about PS2 emulation. I already mentioned this in the chat, so I won't try to pretend you guys don't already know. I think it's interesting that the top 5 selling PS2 games of all time all start with Gran. I think Grandma would be proud of that. Grand Theft Auto and Gran Turismo. Grandma. Yeah, she knows. But what's number 6 after that without looking? Can you guess?
Okay, yeah.
No idea.
Okay, so it's what? It starts with Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, you got GTA, you got San Andreas, and then you got Gran Turismo 3 and 4, and then you got Vice City and Grand Theft Auto 3. There's your top 5.
My guess would be God of War.
Not even in the top 10, surprisingly.
I think it's got to be something earlier than that.
Okay.
Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank is top 20.
I was thinking something like that. So
Jack and Daxter?
Not even up there, actually.
Not as popular as Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, that's true.
It's PS2 came out in like 2002.
2001, I think?
Yes, I think you are correct.
Time Splitters too?
No, not Time Splitters. Try to think, big franchises.
Is it a Madden game?
It is not a Madden game.
That would make me sad.
Resident Evil 4.
No.
It's not. Is it Kingdom Hearts? Somebody said in chat.
Okay, you're getting closer. You're getting closer. Kingdom Hearts is up there in the top 10.
Final Fantasy X?
That's number 6, or sorry, number 7.
That makes
Number
me
7.
angry. It should have been 12.
All right, you're narrowing it down. You're getting close. What's that number 6 title?
Metal Gear Solid 2?
There you go. Nice.
Yeah!
All right.
Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. You got Tekken 5 up there is actually 6
5 is really
million
good.
copies sold. I can't believe
Surprised
that.
God of War wasn't up there. But
Yeah,
maybe
me
it's because it was
too.
an exclusive? No, there's no way. God of War was fantastic.
God of War sold 4.61 million copies compared to Metal Gear Solid 2, which sold 7. Pretty big.
That's crazy.
That was a fun game. Thank
It
you,
was,
Bear.
yeah. Then up there, a surprising one I thought was Dragon Quest VIII: Journey of the Cursed King. Actually outsold.
That was a good game.
Yeah, it outsold Madden 2005, God of War 2, iToy Play, which I know sounds weird,
Oh my
but
God.
iToy Play actually sold 4 million copies. It was pretty huge back in the day. Do you remember that? The
I
iToy?
remember I had a subscription to the official PlayStation magazine. And if you ever want like the most useless review of all time, read a written review of a product that is a camera you hook up to your screen. It's like a Proto Connect. They'd be like, well, like bubbles come up on the screen and you pop them.
Yeah.
And like it sort of works. It's like a 7 out of 10.
That's so exactly right on, though, as far as the actual description of the product, because that's
Holy shit. You
that's
know
like
what?
literally the experience I had with it.
You know what I bought on the PlayStation? I think it was the PlayStation 3 camera at the time. Oh, God.
I have Judgment.
Was it the card game? Is that what
Card
you're talking
game.
about?
Yeah,
Yes!
I had it too. I had it too. It's garbage.
I wanted it to be so good. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I love magic, and this makes my cards come alive on screen. This is going to be
In
fucking
theory?
awesome. In theory. Then I played it, I'm like, this is shitty.
I'm so glad we
I can't
finally
quite
got to
detect
provide
the
you
card
guys this
properly. The
outlet.
lighting's a little off. Oh, the balance is changing. I can't see anything. Nothing's happening, and I
Yep.
put it away in a drawer.
For 12
and then I
years,
lost
you
it,
guys
and it
have been
was gone
suppressing this anger about this game that came out in like
Because
2004.
it is a cool idea, but the technology just wasn't there. But I was like, I'm so pumped for this. I can't wait. I'm going to bring my friends over. We're going to have like nights of playing Eye of Judgment tournaments. It's going to be awesome.
It was a
I played it
day
for,
when
like,
I thought
20
I
minutes.
lucked out, and it was like a buy two get one free sale, and somebody had traded in the whole set of all the stuff at GameStop, and I was like, all right, I'm taking the dive. I got to see what this is about. And it was still disappointing, even though I probably got it for nothing.
Man, they could have been such a huge franchise there if it just worked.
Nope.
Came
I
out
still
in-
think even if it worked properly, it wouldn't have been huge.
It's a big investment.
I'm
Yeah.
with Nick on this one.
Was it playable without the camera? I can't remember. Was it like a camera only thing? Could you play the game?
The game like took place because of what happened with the camera, I think.
Oh yeah, that's like part of the fucking card's lore, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. IGN gave it an 8 out of 10, so it's obviously stellar.
Really? Actually,
Did they-
though?
Yeah, literally.
Oh, no.
IGN gave it an 8 out of 10 on October
What
12th,
happened there? I
2007.
want to know the backstory.
Let's read the review a little bit here. Why not? Let's play.
Let's jump to Metacritic real quick and see what the reviews are. It got a 75 on Metacritic and 8.2 for a user score.
That's pretty good.
That's actually pretty freaking good.
Yeah, man. I don't know what. Yeah, you guys appear to be the outliers here. Everybody
didn't
loved
work.
Eye of Judgment.
One Up gave it an 8. Game Informer gave it an 8.
This is a well-renowned game. The community ratings on IGN 7.4. Man, that's not bad.
Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it an 8.
Oh no.
These are good scores, man.
Yeah.
These are all very good scores.
We're gonna have to do a.
Edge Magazine gave it a 4.
Okay. Well, Edge, they're a little
damn.
harder.
They were on the edge, man. They were on the cutting edge.
Oh man!
I think those scores were the result of like future optimism because maybe it hadn't come out yet, so everyone was like getting ready for the hype that was to be generated but never came.
Oh, so you're saying these are all from like the review event for Eye of Judgment that they had? Yeah, I gotcha.
Could be.
I think you're gonna need to do a little bit of a retrospective on this one, Mathis.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig it out. I wonder how much I can get it for.
Dude, I'd watch that honestly. I'm curious to see what's going on with this one now.
What, eBay? I guess.
Yeah.
I think I know where mine is. It had a weird like stand for your camera too, right? Because it had to stand looking down at the mat. So
you get the whole bundle,
tripod
the camera,
thing.
the cards, and the game for $45 on eBay right now.
Wow, worth. That video makes like at least $12, so you know that's a decent return of investment there.
What kind of idiot would buy digital booster packs? Stupid
scumbag. All right, well, speaking of games only idiots would play.
Oh no.
This War of Mine coming out with a board game.
Oh wow,
that
was of all the games you could say that about.
Oh, I meant board games in general, but then I turned it into a terrible thing.
That's substantially worse.
Yeah, it's a lot better, isn't it?
Keep going. Just insult.
All right, yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole.
Religionists too.
11-Bit Studios, developers behind This War of Mine. I love This War of Mine, by the way. It was one of my favorite games last year. Teaming up with or actually, they don't actually say who they're teaming up with, but they are making a This War of Mine board game, which I am pretty excited about, to be honest with you. The TWAM, I like that abbreviation for them. The TWAM board game.
One time.
Yeah, definitely, and totally fuck it up. Features a multiplayer experience for up to 6 players, as well as a solo variant, which is interesting. And you don't see a lot of solo tabletop games.
That's
these
very
days.
true.
So that alone is pretty cool. You'll be able to play as the well-known characters, as well as some other new ones, and face hundreds of new challenges and difficult choices. This whole idea...
there's... Like, this is just because it's one of the few solo board games, but there's something really sad about this vignette in my head where the dude takes like half an hour to set up the board game.
Oh, yeah.
And then plays by himself.
Yeah, on his kitchen table and plays it by himself and like reads the cards out and he's like, oh,
you're right. It's so sad.
Got dysentery, and then he puts like the dysentery token on Pavel's character, and you're like,
it fits the theme of This War of Mine, though. You know?
Yeah, it does. Exactly, the crippling loneliness.
I'm just seeing he gets home from work all excited to play it, and the sun's starting to go down, and he sets up the board, and by the time he's ready, he's got his glass of wine or beer or whatever. And then he sits down for the card game. It's like it's dark outside, and then he's going to read about people dying in war.
He's drinking his moonshine.
He's so sad.
Hey, man.
I want to say that this is not inherently any sadder than doing the same thing on
a
the
video
computer.
game. Yeah,
like
exactly.
Doing that in a video, or doing any, I guess, hobby by yourself. But it's just because it's so novel, the idea of playing, like, board games are like this social thing, and then just dude being like, I don't know what it is about it, but
I think we're describing someone's like perfect night too while we're saying this in basically a sarcastic way.
It doesn't sound that bad, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the idea, though, in general, of converting this into a board game, because when the more I think about it for This War of Mine, it makes a lot of sense. Somebody describe this game for me real quick while I pull up a video so folks can check it out.
Like
This
a
War of Mine.
real-time survival game where you kind of control like a group of small people in this broken down house that's in a war-torn 90s kind of a town. War is raging like right outside your window, and you're just trying to survive. So you can build like get a radio going. You have to deal with their moods, their hunger, their thirst, their sickness. You have to make a lot of tough calls too. Do you like rob a house not too far down of this old couple because they have a huge stack of medicine to save your own people? Or do you leave them alone and try and scavenge out in like an abandoned home that might have the medicines you need and possibly have one of your own friends die in the process? Like that kind of decision making is at the core of the game.
You are correct.
You gonna make fun of how I explained it?
Just because, like the way you said, a group of small people instead.
Oh,
of
small people. A group of tiny people. Listen, tiny on your monitor. All right, I'm not wrong.
After that whole thing, I was just thinking about a Sims expansion pack the whole time you kept going.
Small group of people.
You play a 6-inch tall former lumberjack named Abraham, and he's trying to save all of his miniature friends.
I don't care what what you say. If an 80-something-year-old man with a sickness and a broken leg says, "Can I join you, please? I can help out." He can't help out. He's just gonna suck your supplies, and he could possibly ruin your game.
Oh,
Kick him
man.
out. Send him on his way and say, "Good luck, friend.
No,
You've lived a
man.
good long life anyway."
You let that guy come home. You let him live his final years in peace. You goddamn.
You know how much wisdom that guy has.
He's probably good at math.
Wisdom doesn't get me food, doesn't get me medicine. He sits around in his fucking chair all day and listens to the fucking radio.
Yeah.
Eating my little can of food. Get out of my house, old man.
Yeah,
There's a
but
radio after the apocalypse.
Anton,
There is. I guess, well,
if he's a
fuck
math
Anton.
genius, he lets you use like one less water to make moonshine or something. I can't remember.
Okay. He needs to make up some cutting fluid. That's what he needs to do. If he's going to be cooking.
He can make medicine with like one less herb or something. Just the way it's like in real life.
Yeah. I didn't realize this War of Mine actually did really, really well. I sort of thought that it went as a bit of a dark horse in 2014, but it has over 800,000 owners on Steam.
Yeah, that is like, it was a really big game.
Mm-hmm.
They're making an expansion or like a remastered version for PS4. And I hear that it has like, the new hook is that it has like playable kids or something like that.
Oh, wow.
watch kids die in real time.
Yeah, geez. I don't know if I like that.
But I don't know if the kids can actually die because there's like an ESRB thing. So I've already started like theory crafting like strategies. I'm like, you take in as many kids as possible, obviously. And then if they can never die, never feed them. And then just let them live in your house and like do work for you.
Yeah.
What, did Bethesda write the game logic for the kids?
Well, I don't know. It's probably an ESRB thing. I don't know.
I'm wondering about that now. Yeah, there's got to be something in place. I'm sure it's available somewhere. There's got to be something in place, though, that's like actively preventing people from doing those things to kids in video games. It seems like, obviously it's a faux pas. Like, you're not going to want to do it in general, but there really does
there's
seem to be...
sadistic people out there that go and do the worst things they can find in any video game.
Yeah. The worst thing I usually do is just find the tallest thing I can find and jump off it. It's like my instant
power
impulse.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah.
I try to spawn in as many cabbages as my video card can handle. That's my main goal.
Can it run Crisis? Fuck it. Can it hold the cabbages?
Can it hold 5,000 Crisis cabbages? That's what I need to know. That's the new staple criteria for
Skyrim cabbages to be perfectly
right,
clear.
yeah.
That's okay.
Those are the more detailed ones. I love rotating cabbages around on my Bethesda loading screens too. Those really help to open up my eyes to the experience a bit. I like this War of Mine for a board game in particular, though. The more I think about it, the more I think, yeah, this really works well just as a concept to be able to play out in a tabletop situation. I'm trying to think of a couple of other games that might fit that criteria, too. Probably a lot of games like XCOM, I imagine you might have.
I was about to tell you there is already an XCOM board game.
Oh,
and
is there?
I've seen it
Really?
at my local bookstore.
Wow.
I hear that it's actually really good, too.
It feels like it would be pretty good. That sounds awesome.
I believe that there's like one person acts as like the commander who just kind of like relays information back, and then it's a cooperative game. So like one person handles like the air game, one person handles like the tactical game on the ground or something like that, which seems cool.
Yeah,
that seems cool. I like cooperative board games. Those are fun.
Yeah, man.
We tried a couple of those.
Yeah, the island with the treasure. I like that game.
Forbidden Island's pretty good.
That's the name of it, right? The island with the
The
treasure.
island with the treasure. Yeah, I like that
It's
little-
its proper name, yeah.
Pandemic is really fun.
I have
is good,
Pandemic, yeah. I like it a lot.
I hear this like 1980s French board game that is like the holy grail of co-op board games. It's a Sherlock Holmes like scripted with 10 mysteries board game for two people.
Shit.
And I'm like, that sounds awesome.
For two
Does
people.
sound awesome.
For two people, yeah.
Limited to two people, or can
I don't know, but it's always in those like best board games for two people lists. Like that and like Splendor and
Slender.
Slender.
not Slender.
Slender the
Oh
video
my
game.
god, remember Slender?
Remember
Yeah,
that?
that was like last year.
Man, I haven't thought about Slender in like at least a year.
Let me tell you something depressing about Slender. No, I'm not going to. Now that I thought about it, I'm sorry. That was a terrible story. I'm not even gonna.
Tell
my
us
God.
after.
No, it's one of those. It's one of those horrible top trending scripts that's like 10 horrible things children
Is it
did
about
to
the,
other
it's about the
children.
little
Yeah.
girls, right?
Yeah, you know the one.
Oh, yeah, I know that too.
All right. Metal Gear Solid 5. Konami has confirmed that there is a secret event that has not yet been triggered in Metal Gear Solid 5 that the community is now working to unlock. and it has to do with nuclear disarmament. So in a manner of summarizing it, there's a few different criteria that they've just announced, but more or less what the objective here now is to like completely remove nuclear weapons from the game. And the only way that you can meet this criteria is to have everyone that's playing on your regional server be completely devoid of any nuclear weapons. So here's the complete rundown of the criteria. You must have completed Mission 31. You must not own or be currently developing a nuclear weapon. Certain conditions must have been met regarding nuclear proliferation, which apparently have already been met. And then all nuclear weapons on the regional server corresponding to your console or platform must have been completely dismantled. And there's data miners that have turned up the actual cutscene that triggers if you manage to do this, but there's been rumors now that there is something beyond that too. You know, it might be a little bit of ARG fanfare that's sort of building up the hype a little bit more than it might actually need to be built up. But it's pretty awesome to see something like this that isn't, you know, necessarily just going to be found out by one dude. It sort of was, you know, with the data mining and all that, but there's no way for any one person to really cheese this. And it's sort of just a result of new technology. You know, like we couldn't have done something like this probably 10 years ago where you had to have people on the regional server all collectively meet a certain series of criteria, which is pretty interesting. And the overall, like the sides have sort of set themselves now. So like there's the subreddits of Metal Gear Patriots, which are the ones that are trying to fill the world with nukes, because, you know, those are the people that we want on our side. And then Metal Gear Philanthropy, which are the ones that are trying to disarm them. It's a really interesting new sort of alternate reality game that they're concocting here. I like it a lot.
You know what? It reminds me a little bit of, and it's a bit of a departure, but it also reminds me a bit of like in Mortal Kombat X, how they had like the different factions that would all fight each other, and then something happens. I don't actually know what the point of those was, but it's something to do with the story. So maybe this is a thing that's becoming more mainstream, where there's like these meta goals that happen that sort of provide some sort of community engagement. And I guess that's a thing that I could see being useful. It's sort of a way to reinforce like online DRM without it seeming restrictive. It's almost like an additive benefit instead of, you know, more of a negative.
Yeah, definitely.
If you get one of the conditions met, Konami will bring back Hideo Kojima, and they will they'll do a live stream of them pulling down his pants and spanking his bottom before they send him off to the pachinko re-education mission.
No. Oh, no! That's messed up.
Damn.
How deep does this go? I wonder. I like the idea of this being what brings the world together, though, is, you know, taking care of nuclear proliferation by way of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, we can only dream, right? It's one way we can simulate it in a video game.
It's beautiful, though, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing.
Kind of.
The ARG is at the end. The community gets to decide. If they nuke Afghanistan, then Konami will actually make PT. And if they don't nuke Afghanistan, Hideo Kojima gets fired.
Now, my information might be a little bit off, so I'm trying to do research. But so I know there are microtransactions on Metal Gear Solid 5 online, and I think one of them is you can buy insurance for your base. If it gets like raided by another
real money insurance for your virtual base.
Yeah. So
no, I'm not over that yet. We can't.
No, you didn't know that? You didn't know that? All right. Yeah, Metal.
I didn't know that either.
Gear Solid 5 base insurance.
You can buy physical.
Adds base insurance you can buy with real money. The insurance is purchased with MB coins, which you can either be purchased with real money or earned in-game. MB coins are sold in bundles that range from 99 cents to $49.99. It says it's a one day coverage costs 50 coins, 3 day 100, a week costs 200, and 2 weeks is 300 coins.
Dude, this is like Konami's like, better get the base insurance.
So like,
something could happen.
Here's my incredibly cynical thought on the whole process. Nukes protect your base from being invaded by other players. So if you have no nukes, you can be invaded by other players that'll fuck your base over. But if you have insurance, at least if you have, your base gets fucked over, you can have all your stuff, staff and items are not fully your property, such as abducted, whatever. All that stuff gets protected. And if this is just like nuclear dearmament, so you can buy insurance, I just think, to me, it's like Konami's just like, this is all a giant ARG. So you buy insurance.
Come on.
You wouldn't want your base to be destroyed by other players now, would you?
It all comes down to the insurance again.
Oh my god.
Then if the insurance wasn't there, I wouldn't think this. But here I am, like ARG, I'm like, wait a minute, they sell fucking insurance for 2 weeks at a time, like at most.
He's right.
And they want you to get rid of your nukes.
This is what it is.
To protect you from your fucking
Konami's got their finger over the big red button, and they're saying that you better buy this. Oh my god, he's right.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Konami's like, go fuck yourself.
I didn't even know this was a thing, and then I went from being like, oh, that's novel, to, oh my god, what's happening? No.
There's no way. No.
You don't
How
believe
could there be no way? There has to be a way.
I don't believe it.
It's in it, yeah, as chat says, it's a literal insurance scam.
That's the most morally corrupt thing I've ever heard of in the games industry.
Sorry, I'm just saying, it's fucking Konami. What do you want me to say? Like, it's there. They're like, okay, nuclear dearmament, we want you all to get rid of your nukes.
How could
for the
you
greater
do that?
Piece of this extra hidden ending. But don't worry, we can protect you for $3.99 after
Okay,
every week.
hold up. Rewind the fuck back, because this was like...
This is awful!
Sorry!
This was such a feel-good story like 7 minutes ago, and now I have this horrible feeling in my stomach. Konami is committing insurance fraud under the guise of eliminating nuclear weapons from the world. Is that your proposition?
Yes.
Real insurance fraud, but
in a virtual
nuclear
world.
disarmament.
But think about
a world to make insurance fraud in. They created their own economy to fuck people over.
Can't escape the big boss.
You can
always get your money.
I think we might be oversimplifying this, but I love the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I really do too.
That Konami is doing this all to sell virtual insurance. What's great is you don't even have to honor the policies, man.
No, you don't.
You just click like a checkbox. Your shit's safe. That's really good.
You have no. Oh my god, that's amazing. No, good sleuthing, man. That's some good detective work there. I like that.
Dude, did you guys get the Solid Snake Platinum package for your medical insurance? It's $85 a month, but whenever you die in game, you get to respawn. You have like a 10% adrenaline bonus as well.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, just an extra little bit of nuclear
I hope
deterrent.
like that's not true, but I'm surprised nobody's really said anything about that. Like, because it kind of seems obvious.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like
put the dots together, man. That's what the conspiracy theorists.
No company's that scummy to sell you digital insurance, right?
Dude, that's what their passion is. Selling insurance. This whole games thing has just been, a means to an end.
I don't even know where the line is being drawn anymore, where we're being facetious. I don't know where it is.
Dude, I just have this idea, and I know this is not what it's like, but I have, like, players phoning Konami's insurance bureau and being like, hi, my policy number is UE9150. My forward operating base was robbed, but you guys said you're not going to cover it. And I'm like, oh, you got this is an act of God. You didn't get the act of God insurance. You're like, oh, fuck.
You only signed
They're
up for the
not
bronze
fulfilling
package.
virtual claims that won't cost them anything.
Yeah, they're like, we can't honor every fraudulent claim that comes into Metal Gear Solid Insurance. Like, we'd be out of business. We'd be out of virtual business.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't shut down our freaking podcast yet.
It's like, no, shut him up. They figured it out. They know too much. They know too much.
Oh, all of a sudden, the plight of the Metal Gear Patriots is now fully understood. It's no longer about filling the world with nukes. It's about disarming Konami's dishonest business practices.
We need our own nukes here at Roundtable HQ. What have we wrong?
We're completely defenseless here. We're going to be taken down.
Vote for in-game nukes. That's what we've learned today.
Yeah, go subscribe to Metal Gear Patriots. They need your help. I was gonna mention this as sort of a brief note of, you know, the showing of human decency and the fact that the number of nukes has now been reduced by like 90% on consoles, which is apparently a bad thing now. We sort of want to reverse that.
I want to know how much insurance has gone up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the stat they're not showing us here. And of course, you know, Konami's displaying it as a badge of honor. Like, look at how good you're all being now, you
job,
saints,
everybody.
you good Samaritans, you. The amount of nuclear weapons owned on PC went down from 36,000 to 13,000 in the past month, and that number is slowly declining. Last the numbers were reported, so it's interesting. I don't know how to feel about it anymore. Mathis has kind of just broken my entire universe, so I'm gonna take a minute to process that. Oh God, that's fun.
Konami owns Metal Gear Solid 5 insurance. You know what else Konami owns?
Oh shit.
Metal Gear Solid 5. Is this not?
What?
Okay, there it is. Oh, shit.
It's a conflict of interest.
That's a super, like, they're robbing themselves to pay each other.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to. I'm actually like skimming through the Reddit thread now to see if anybody's brought up this conspiracy theory, and nobody's on it yet, man.
We've breaking news here at
Opening
Roundtable
up
Live.
brand new doors, yeah. Jeez.
Or perhaps more likely is it's completely unfounded.
Yeah.
But it's a fun thing to think about.
It is.
Video game spotlight right here.
I want to say we're mostly joking, but how much are we joking, really?
Yo, how much? I'll joke if you guys joke.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you were going to lead into something there.
If you're joking, you got to tell me. That's the law.
Yeah. All right. I've got this tab open, so I'm going to mention it in passing. Bring Back Mystery Science Theater 3000 has nearly crossed over $3.5 million on their Kickstarter, and I think we're all pretty sufficiently excited for that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're getting 6 episodes. Patton Oswalt, Felicia Day. Who else has it got and brought in? I don't remember. They've announced a new host.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited. Ben Carson. That'd be awesome. That he's
Pat Buchanan.
Markiplier. PewDiePie.
Markiplier's going to be on there, yeah.
I grew up with MST3K in high school. I loved it.
For those that have no idea what we're talking about, Mystery Science Theater 3000 was a show that was on in the 80s and 90s, late 80s and all through the 90s. It was a show that not spoofed, but, you know, like kind of riffed on bad movies, cheesy movies. They were making fun of them all the time. It's hilarious. You should totally watch it.
What if they made a show where someone watches Let's Plays and makes fun of the person doing the Let's Play?
They do that.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, I thought you maybe didn't know. I was gonna open up your eyes to a brand new area of YouTube. Have you had the experience yet though where someone that you knew was spoofed on that channel? Because
are you Billy M.
spoofs, bro?
Did they do Ryan yet?
No, they didn't do Ryan.
I was on their podcast.
Yeah, I know you're on the podcast.
No, I had a former friend who got ripped to shreds on one of their episodes. It just
were they fans of them, or did they not?
No, they did not know who he was, and it was pretty bad. I'm not going to say anything more about it because I don't want people to go digging, but it was pretty awful.
That's the secret. Give them just enough to get interested in it. Pull away.
That's what Max
the internet
did,
will
man.
never find it.
No, as soon as Max hopped on, he knew what he was doing the whole time, man. He gave just the amount of details necessary for those sleuths to dig deep and find the one that they needed. And that's who I'm servicing right now. I'm giving them the 2 tidbits, and that's all they want. That's all they want, and then they go off on their adventure. All right, and I think that may bring us to a little conversation about a game called Just Cause 3. Woo! Just Cause 3 was just released yesterday on Steam, $59.99. You can buy Just Cause XL, which includes the Air, Sea, and Land expansion DLC pass for $84.98.
Dude, the game's massive.
It's
Why don't you play the
huge.
original pack before you buy the DLC?
over 1,000 square kilometers. What do you say, kilometers or kilometers?
It's kilometers.
Yeah.
It's the same size as 2, actually. Somebody told me that last night. It's the same amount of square miles as the map in 2.
It feels a lot bigger, though.
It feels bigger, though.
Yeah, it really
because
does.
it's laid out differently.
So, Just Cause 3, if you have not played Just Cause 2, you could probably, actually the Steam sale just ended, unfortunately, so you can't buy it now, but you could get it probably for $3 or $4 at some point in the Steam sale in the future. Just Cause 2 probably has a story, but I'm not aware of it, because the entire time I spent in Just Cause 2 was spent blowing shit up and running around and being an idiot.
Liberating the local government from a foreign dictator,
right?
And, blowing a lot of shit up in the process. That's kind of the theme.
I honestly have no idea what the story is to this game, and I've played a lot of Just Cause 2.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're supposed to be doing in it. In fact, in Just Cause 3 so far, let me pull this up. So I've spent 98 minutes in the game so far. I think 94 of those minutes were spent in the wingsuit, because I just fly around and grab shit, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun just to not do anything and fly around. That's my favorite part of it so far.
So if you don't know what this game is, I think the real appeal of it, beyond the flashy looks and the explosions, is the physics sandbox element. Mm-hmm. They give you tools. You can use your grapple. You can tether things together, pull them, retract them, cause them to explode and pull things apart. You can use your parachute and now your wingsuit to get around really effectively. And it's like a power thing. It's about feeling sort of like an alternate world version of Batman, where you don't have any morality at all. You can do whatever you feel like and blow up all the buildings.
Yeah, the feeling I get from it too is something a la, like the Spider-Man games on the GameCube, where you just get that free-form sense of exploration. And I think it was The Amazing Spider-Man, wasn't it? What was the GameCube one that was just so good with the web swinging mechanics?
Spider-Man 2.
Was it Spider-Man 2? Okay, it must have been
Ultimate Spider-Man was up there too.
Mm-hmm. But those games just did such a great job, even so early on, of giving you that freedom to just go where you want to and explore and feel like there's not really any walls or limits on what you can do. And Just Cause 3 does a great job of that.
That's such a good comparison, because as I was talking to you guys before, don't really care for Just Cause 2 outside of the obvious kind of like pleasure in it. But I really like Spider-Man 2, but I should dislike it for the same reasons I'm not into Just Cause 2, which is swinging around is really fun, but then after like 10 hours, you're like, all right, how many people are losing their balloons in this city?
Yeah.
You like
all of them.
You like swing around, you capture a balloon, there's like a dude getting mugged, you execute your combo that like web hits them in the face and they go, oh, and then you string them up by the streetlight and then you just swing around again.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
get it.
For plausibility, I mean, it makes a little more sense that a foreign dictator would take over some government versus everyone loses their balloons. I mean, everyone's kind of blanketed under the same dictator in this case.
It just falls under what would you rather play a fantasy of,
Right.
For Just Cause, I'm the same way with Ryan. I'm about 2 or 3 hours in, and I'm kind of done with Just Cause 3. I was very quick with Just Cause 2 as well. I played it maybe for like 10 hours, and I got kind of bored just because the explosions and the physics is really fun, but it's just not something I give too much of a shit about, and the missions are kind of drab and boring. The story is completely forgettable. It's beautiful looking, but it's really
gorgeous.
shallow.
Yeah.
It's really shallow, but like I'd rather play Crackdown because I enjoy that superhero fantasy of being like all powerful, all like strong, and be able to jump or fly or web swing. If in the case of Spider-Man, I prefer that kind of power trip over just James Bond without like a moral code kind of power trip, I guess.
It got a little bit more Duke Nukem-y this time too, I felt. Like they really embraced the idea of Rico just being this total, over the top badass. He's got all these little one-liners that he quips off whenever he does cool shit, So they got a lot more machismo to it this time around too.
They kind of Saints wrote it up a little, didn't they? They kind of went like over the top. I mean, it was already over the top, but now it's like a little over, like it's self-aware level.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's still, I mean, when you boil it down to brass tacks, I think it's still the people that have been enjoying Just Cause 2 and the people that play the stuff like the Just Cause 2 multiplayer mod all the time are going to love Just Cause 3 because it's just more of that. It focuses a lot more on the things that people seem to really enjoy about Just Cause 2, which is what we've been mentioning, just the ridiculous over-the-top transitions from place to place and the movement and the grappling hook, of course, is going to be a critical part of it, and they upgrade the grappling hook very early on in the game. I'm not really even sure beyond the tethering part of it what's different.
What changed?
Yeah,
it's
I don't
just
know
like a different looking thing on your wrist, but I don't really see any difference.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's maybe just like a completely thematic thing. Just it's Just Cause 3 now. It's much better.
They literally just give you a bunch of toys, and they put you, and they just kind of throw you and go have a good time.
Yeah.
It is, it's what you get out of it. Some people, I think, are going to feel, I don't think anybody can say it's a bad game, because I don't think it's a bad game, but some people are going to love it, and some people are just going to be kind of on it.
It's, well, we do have to mention, for those that may argue that it's a bad game, it is having some issues on the PC release at the moment. Apparently, folks with AMD cards are having some problems, so that's why you probably
Xbox
see...
One.
Wow, why'd you buy... It was 2015. You should know not to buy AMD cards by now. As part of the NVIDIA master race, personally, I can't understand why anyone would buy an AMD.
Yeah. But I gotta sell it again, just like based on, well, what you're seeing right now, actually, if you're watching the video feed of it, just the fun shit you can do, man. I mean, I really don't need a story in this game. That's the thing. I probably will never finish the story mode for this game. I probably won't even play another mission, to be honest. I'm just gonna go around dicking around and blowing shit up, climbing mountains, falling off them, skydiving, flying around in the wingsuit. Like, it sort of just satisfies this really thorough and fleshed out freedom of an open world that I apparently have a craving for. You know, like I think I just need this game to be exactly that, and I'm not really going to grade it on any other criteria. I don't even look at this as, okay, where's the story of Rico Rodriguez going, and what's the deal with Medici? You know, like what are all these different players in power? No, I don't give a fuck, honestly, about any of the story having to go on with this. It's just fun to goof around and play in. It's just a big sandbox.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a relief once you get enough of the story done that you really don't need to see any more exposition. You can just get down to the freeform part, because that's kind of where the meat of the game is.
Yeah.
How much time are you going to spend with that, though, realistically? And it sounds like a loaded question. I don't really mean it as a loaded question, but I think you can tell... That's what my own opinion is.
Just Cause 2? How much time did you put into Just Cause 2?
Let me give you an actual number. Let's find out. I honestly think I could get 10 to 15 hours out of that. So it's not going to be a 100-hour game for me, but I can see myself spending a good amount of time. And I don't have Just Cause 2.
What?
Did you play it on console?
No, where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Uninstalled it.
6 hours. So not that much, but that's, again, in Just Cause 2, I spent 6 hours flying around and being stupid. So that's, and now it's made better, I think, in Just Cause 3. So by that alone, I think it's so good.
I think I probably spent about 30 or so on the 360 version. And I think I'm probably going to, if the gameplay loop kicks in for me, which I'm thinking it probably will, I'm probably going to spend roughly the same amount with 3. I got into the mentality that I was going to actually 100% the game until I realized how big that is.
Yeah.
It's like probably 100 hours to 100% the game.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but again, this is just, it doesn't really strike me as a game that I want to accomplish that in. Even the missions themselves, they're really, I think Mathis will agree with this too, maybe even Ryan, they're really just not that appealing,
I don't give a shit what's going on.
It doesn't sell missions very well. It doesn't sell objectives.
In the first 2 hours, they're like, here's an escort mission. You're like, oh,
yeah.
That stuff, those are actually obstacles to what I think the real strength of it is, which is the sort of blob absorption element, like an EU4 type of thing, where it's more about converting the area into safe zones.
Right, yeah.
That's what appeals to me more so, and that's the same kind of thing that works for Assassin's Creed for me, is look at all the watchtowers, open up all the map. I'm into the finish all the thing mission. But then you run into the escort stuff, and it's like, well, this is annoying. I hope this is over soon.
Yeah. Very much so.
This might be ignorant of me, because I did only play maybe 2 to 3 hours on 360 of Just Cause 2. But my experience with it was a lot of like outpost stuff, and the missions that I did, it feels like a game where it should have a Saints Row element of crazy over the top absurdity, like in Saints Row, how you'll climb on a nuclear missile
while surf a jet.
But it's like you can surf a jet, which in a way to me kind of makes that not that special.
I mean, I want to point out that the very first thing you do in the game is get up on top of the plane you're piloting and fire an unlimited ammunition rocket launcher at missile batteries that you're flying by.
What's playing in the background, though?
AC/DC.
Oh, okay.
No, not really. I'm lying.
Yeah.
Would have been made a lot better, though, right?
My experience, at least with Just Cause 2, I'm not speaking about Just Cause 3, was that it was like a really cool engine to do stuff, But then the campaign was kind of just like, just shoot your rocket launcher at the statue and like these like convoys and stuff like that. Movement was really fun, but I didn't feel like the campaign was like a showcase for moments like that. Whereas in Saints Row, which I think is a game that is not super dissimilar in terms of tone, the moment-to-moment gameplay was way less satisfying. But it had those super cool, like, vignette moments where, like, you know, you're driving a spaceship through, like, an Independence Day style, like, explosion chase thing while What Is Love is playing. Or, like, you're climbing on a nuclear missile to disarm it while Don't Want to Miss a Thing is playing. And I guess I prefer that stuff to be structured instead of just, like, you can do anything. It's like, you know, all-you-can-eat buffet versus, like, a highly, like, curated meal or something like that.
That's a very apt comparison. Yeah, I like that.
I find myself bloated.
Yeah.
They're competing in a space where there are other facsimiles of the same concept, so I think ultimately they may have had to just ignore some of the other things and just do what they feel sets the tone for their own game.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that being the case. I really think they embrace what makes Just Cause Just Cause, because I would struggle to think that there are people who try to sell Just Cause on anything but you can do all this crazy shit. You know? Like, I haven't really ever heard, I love the story in Just Cause 3. I haven't really ever even heard, like, I love the mechanics or I love how tight the controls are or anything like that. There's even, like, some complaints I have, honestly, about the controls a little bit. Like, it feels...
Same. The shooting is terrible.
Yeah, the shooting is really not that good. It feels...
overly complex. There's too many buttons and too many of them map to the same functions, which causes you to do things accidentally a lot.
I think the grappling works pretty well, though.
Yeah. It does.
The grappling is definitely solid, which is, you know, of course, going to be a staple of it, too. But, shoot, I totally lost my train of thought there.
What they needed to do, I think, and personally, is they needed to do something about the way your character feels very clunky moving over terrain on foot. They needed to sort of Assassin's Creed it up a little bit and make your character more freeform to move across geometry, because right now you can't really jump up very high, which is weird because you can grapple to, like, any height and fly indefinitely. So to think you can't, like, mantle over an edge is really odd. And it feels exactly the same as 2 for me. Like, all of that clunkiness is retained. So the game feel, if you liked 2, it's not going to feel any better. It's going to feel the same, which might dissuade some people. It's not really an improvement in a lot of regards in that way.
And I think the driving needs a lot of work too. That's a pretty specific complaint as well. But
really bad.
Yeah, it's just especially
sluggish.
Especially when compared to how much freedom you have in just flying around in your wingsuit and parachute all the time. I never want to drive anything. I hardly even want to fly anything because I can just fly around myself.
I think it's kind of just an inclusion that they have to put it in because why would they not?
Yeah.
If you couldn't drive the cars, we're going to be mad about that.
True, but I mean, like, you feel like if I'm going to drive a car, I want to feel good driving the car, too. I avoid vehicles now when I can because I just don't want to use them, you know?
It's just the generic kind of clunkiness of this engine and the way that things interact. It just doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I think one of my big complaints, though, is first thing starting the game in, like, the first mission, maybe the first 20 minutes or so, you get to a gas station where you're supposed to be fighting off a bunch of people, and they immediately put you in a box and say, if you leave this area, you fail the mission. For a sandbox game where it's all about freeform exploration, don't do that.
Yeah.
I need to be able to get on top of a hill and shoot down at them. I was not even 100 feet away from the situation, and they were saying I was out of bounds already, and I had 20 seconds to get back. I never want to see that in a video game ever again.
Yeah, I sort of expected that, to be honest, when I jumped in. I mean, like, I sort of expect now, I'm going to get my hand held for about 30 to 60 minutes here, and then I'm going to be able to go around and do what I want, which is exactly what I did as soon as I had the freedom to do so. I said, fuck everything else, I'm going over there. And...
I don't resent putting me on rails, but I resent giving me the illusion of freedom to take it back away.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot to do in the game as well. We should touch on that too. There's the fact that there's a whole island, as Nick mentioned. It's huge. It's like over
several islands.
Yeah, several islands. You can see out over the horizon. Actually, I took a helicopter up too, just to get that grand overview of everything, and it is pretty massive. So I'm looking forward to checking it out.
I super know that this is not my kind of game from just the marketing, like, not hitting me at all.
Yeah,
like that. Like there's a whole island to explore. I'm like, oh.
You just treat that like a chore now, right?
Well, yeah, like even in the Steam descriptions, like with over 1,000 kilometers squared of complete freedom. I'm like, man, I haven't even explored my own neighborhood yet. Like, this just seems like a task to me.
Tell you what, the dog has helped us do that.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Going to a completely unrelated tangent, but we haven't even... I don't even leave my house anymore. I got a dog. Yeah, he's really cute. He was here a second ago. Yeah, it's just as fun, I think, as Just Cause 2.
Just as fun.
Yeah, just because I want to play it. That's a joke that I don't think anyone's made, right?
Yeah, no, not this minute, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the rim shot, by the way. I appreciate it.
Do you think it looks much better than 2? Because, like, I wasn't totally blown away. It's like, it looks lovely, but it doesn't look incredible.
Very colorful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There is a good color scheme in this game, which is refreshing because, you know, we are subjected to quite a bit of brown. Brown.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But I mean, I'll say just on my PC, it looks pretty fantastic. It's been running very smoothly. I sort of even though I've got, you know, a higher end PC, I still don't really ever expect anything to run that smoothly, and I'm usually proven right, unfortunately. But this one is doing quite well, so I'm happy about that. But
I think it's honestly just that I haven't played it in years, so I have this imaginary version of it in my head that I'm comparing it to.
Yeah,
so it probably looks a lot better, and I don't even know.
No, yeah, I think it's a pretty market improvement if you're just straight up comparing the two.
Just Cause 2 is like 6 years old, right?
Yeah. But it looked incredible when it came out. Like, it was leaps and bounds over the competition at the time.
I don't necessarily disagree, but it was on 360. Like,
yeah,
there's got to be some like realistic, like objective technical differences.
Just Cause 2 was 2010.
Yeah, so it's 5 years old.
Yep. Just Cause 3 is out now, $60. Reviews are mixed. I think we're about in that same ballpark.
To be fair, it seems like they're mixed because, not that this is not a big deal, but less because of the game and more because of optimization.
Yeah. I think overall the reviews have been pretty good, though.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, leads us right into everybody's favorite segment. It is Ask Roundtable. You can send your questions.
Every segment is everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd pick up on that joke. Ask Roundtable, it's roundtableyt@gmail.com is where you want to send in your questions. This one comes to us by way of Dustin, who says, would you guys use Bob Ross as a Super Smash Brothers character? Now, hear me out. Now, I know this seems like one of the more ridiculous questions, but I think it's actually one of the best questions that we've gotten here on Ask Roundtable so far. Think about Bob Ross as a Smash Bros. Character, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking, you know, theory craft this with me as we go here, but I'm thinking one of these moves, I think like his down smash has got to be beat the devil out of him. So he's got the paintbrush and you just smack him around with it, right?
Yeah. All right.
What else has he got?
I can see that. Well, his ultimate has to be something about a happy little tree.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no question. I think
like
that's
a happy tree.
So if we're going, like latest Smash Brothers release, right? So we've
bring
got
on the Kappa Rosses, everybody. Bring them on.
Oh, absolutely. So we've got the what is that called? Like the Ultra Smash, the one with the colorful orb that flies around the stage, and then
that's
ultimate,
the final Smash.
Final
Smash.
Happy tree.
So final Smash. This is Bob Ross's Smash character's final Smash. The entire arena turns into a canvas. And he turns your characters into paintbrushes. And he just is smattering you around. And it just creates what looks like chaos. And he's just smearing you all over the screen. But then at the end of it, big flash of light. It's just the most beautiful horizon you've ever seen. And then Bob Ross wins. That's all it needs.
And then just you go flying off the screen. And
die. There you go.
The paint is your soul.
The paint is your soul.
He's just diluting it all over the canvas.
A little paint thinner.
I'd use Bob Ross as a Smash character.
I would use anybody as a Smash character.
I'd love to be able to make your own Smash character, man. That would be some next level stuff.
You sort of can.
Yeah, they say you can, but you kind of can't.
Well, I mean, you can't like moves. You can't like 3D model your own character.
No, but like they had customization, fucking WWE Attitude, or it was F at the time. Like, I want to be able to make ICP in Smash Brothers, don't you?
I do too. Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
I think that's what's really missing from the Smash Brothers community is a little bit of ICP.
But Bob Ross, though, immersion breaking. I would never play as him.
Never? Really?
Never.
Come on.
Totally immersion breaking. I mean, you've got characters like Mr. Game & Watch who really bring a lot of realism to the game, and then you get someone like Bob Ross in there. Come on, doesn't make any sense.
Too much. Can't do it.
The cartoonized Bob Ross is a pretty great look, though, man. He looks real good.
I could see him as a me in about 1 second. Like, he would be perfect.
Bob Ross is like the personification of a me, just like completely perfectly. That's beautiful. Yeah, thanks, Dustin, for that question. I like that a lot. And if you have questions, real or fake, feel free to shoot them over to Ask Roundtable. So that's roundtableyt@gmail.com with any question that you've got. And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. It's Nick's Weird Games.
You skipped something, Bear.
No, I didn't. I was going to bring that up, but I can do it now.
Okay, I thought you said at the end of Ask Roundtable.
I did say that, and then I changed my mind, and I didn't tell you. And that's a mistake that I made.
Come on, Mathis.
Sorry.
Why can't you pick up on my subtle non-tells? All right. We do have another thing I want to mention. Alexander Spillman.
What is this other thing, then?
We're talking about it.
Yeah, but why am I not
Ryan,
briefed on it?
You'll be fine. Just buckle
You're
in,
not
buddy.
in on it because you're not here for the 90-minute pre-show banter that we do.
Be there for the podcast at 11. We're going to have 500 messages in the chat.
Alexander Spillman, one of our patrons on Roundtable's Patreon page, by the way. That's patreon.com/roundtable if you're interested in supporting the podcast. Really appreciate it over there. Wants to know what is frequently asked question, but a good question all the same. Wants to know where our usernames came from. So let's go around in the round table. Let's start with Mathis.
God, all right, yeah, it's easy. Mine's really simple and boring. 2004, World of Warcraft came out, made a character, hit random, gave me Matthias. I got rid of the I. Got
Why'd you get rid of the I? That's the important part.
Because I thought it looked cooler. Yeah, fuck vowels.
Like, FTA.
Fuck I in particular as a vowel. Anybody that's got that in their name is a dingus.
Yeah, I just liked Mathis, and I've had it since then. That's really all it came from. Simple.
Ryan, I want you to tell a half-truth and a half-lie about your name.
I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you the boilerplate answer I've given 400 times before, which is that, you know, I had to make like a YouTube channel name, and I was like, well, my name's Ryan, and that kind of rhymes with lion, and I'm from Canada, so I was like Northern Lion. Later I found out that one of the metro lines in London is called the Northern Line, and it just kind of stuck around since then. I gotta constantly be like, no, not Northern Lion, or Northillian, it's Northern Lion.
Now be honest, when did you actually find that out?
Probably like a year ago.
Okay. I thought it was maybe like last week.
Twitter teacher man still won't give him back his name either.
Yeah? Oh,
I don't ask. It's okay. I'm not worried about my branding.
What about you, Nick?
All right, mine is an anime reference. Hi, I'm Nick. You can check out Naruto, and you'll find a character named Rock Lee. And his thing is, well, it's a story about ninjas. Oh, I can just feel Ryan probably just being like, oh,
no,
I hate
keep
this
going,
story.
keep going.
I don't care. I've heard this before. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. All right. So there's a character named Rock Lee, and it's a school for ninjas. And his thing is he doesn't have any like conventional superpowers like the other ninjas do, which seems like a really strange sentence. But he succeeds by hard work and being ethical and doing his best every day. And I thought those were attributes that I'd like to align myself with. And when he smiles, it's like a promise that he's going to do his best. And he goes like this, and then
that's a real origin story, man.
Yeah.
Ours are bullshit. You've got a real one. I like that. We should have ended with you, shit, because mine's just going to be...
What's yours?
Well, to be honest, mine's sort of somber now because my friend who passed away last week was actually the one who suggested that I go by Bear. So it's kind of cool now that I get to have that to permanently keep him emblazoned in my thoughts. But
very true.
Yeah, him and I used to play a lot of Halo together, and I used to just go by Mr. Larrabee because I liked to make kids on Xbox Live think that I was their math teacher. So that was a lot of fun. And then, especially because I had this voice back when I was playing on Xbox Live too, so I would get online and I'd sound so much older than everyone else, and everyone would. I really got like a few messages saying like, "Are you Mr. Larrabee from such and such high school?"
That's so good.
It was pretty
that
great.
Is awesome.
But then I had people calling me Lair Bear, so that just sort of turned into Bear, and then I switched the vowels because I thought it would be super badass if I did that.
Super cool.
I know. And then in college, I helped a friend of mine with a website that we ran called Game Taffy, and that was for a year or so that we were just doing little articles.
Is that where you met Wife Taffy?
No, actually. She came afterward, and the Wife Taffy thing sort of just
Or sometimes not at all.
Yeah.
You said yeah before you heard what he said.
I did. I certainly did. Oh. I gotta start listening to you more thoroughly. Yeah, and then the Game Taffy thing turned into me, needing a Twitter handle, so I just attached the Taffy to the end of Bear because Bear was already taken, and then this sort of just flew off. And that's mine. But thank you, Alexander, for your interest, and hopefully that clears it up for everyone for the future. But we know it's a common question. But thank you very much for your support as well, Alexander, and thank you for everybody supporting over on the Patreon page, and thank you for sending in your questions. Again, it's roundtableyt@gmail.com if you've got more questions that you'd like to see potentially answered on this segment. And now it's finally time for everybody's favorite segment, following their favorite segment after the favorite segment. It is Nick's Weird Games. Nick's Weird Games is brought to you by nothing, but if you want to bring it to us, feel free to email roundtableyt@gmail.com. Nick, you gonna go grab a game? And Ryan, we actually had a suggestion that I thought was pretty good. Okay. Did you see this one?
No.
Okay, so I believe, let me see if I can find his name. I want to call him Tom, but that might not have been his name. So Tom, if you're out there, I'm sorry I misremembered, but he was looking for a Nirvana theme song. You think he pulled that one off?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Gotta get that Nirvana voice.
Yeah.
Down.
He immediately went down to that, didn't
he? Nick's left his chair to get a game. It probably is a little lame. Got a 5 out of 10 from IGN, but a dedicated fan base won't let it end. Something like that.
I like the 5 out of 10 by IGN line.
That was really good.
Yeah, thank you. I was
waiting
for the chorus.
I was gonna say I was waiting for that impassioned chorus, but all right, that'll work.
That'd be like, it's a JRPG for PlayStation. Here we are now, Nick's Weird Games in something like that.
That's good.
All right, sounds like that one. Okay.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
It's a grade A Nick's Weird Games theme song, I'd say.
Okay, wow, you're too kind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to play another game of Nick's Weird Games. Today, we have a PS2 game.
By the way, if you're in chat, feel free to shout it out if you know it.
Guess along.
Oh, yeah, which is good. I'll get rid of chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a game that is it's an action-adventure, single-player focus. No
God of
multiplayer
War.
in this one. Nope.
I gotta close my my list of the best-selling PS2 games now.
Hey, don't worry, this isn't on it.
All right,
promise.
good, yeah.
It is developed and published by Acclaim.
Oh, fuck. Shadow Man. Returns.
Oh. Close?
Shadow Man Daggerfall.
He's so close. I didn't even give him any hints yet.
No way.
It's like Acclaim's one
so
game.
Close.
Shadowrun Returns with Shadow Man.
I don't even know how to keep going now because he basically got it.
No, keep it up. Here we go.
Shadow Man reboot.
All right.
It's the new Shadow Man, the newer Shadow Man.
Is it a Shadow Man?
Yeah, it is one of the Shadow Man games.
Oh my god.
But do you know the title?
What a player. All right, give me a description.
All right.
Give me the back of the box description.
Back of the box description, sure. I guess I could just say, since we know who it is now, Michael Leroy is Shadow Man. Undead demon hunter and protector of the world. Follow him on a twisted voodoo journey through the darkest recesses of the soul as he battles the Grigori, a group of sadistic demons bent on returning their monstrous leader, Asmodeus, or Asmodeus, from the pit. If they succeed, darkness and destruction will befall all humanity. Only the power of Shadow Man can stop them now.
Ooh, baby.
What the fuck is Shadow Man?
I don't
I've never
know,
heard
man.
of this
Yeah,
game.
that's an
Shadow Man,
impressive one.
he's like...
It's Mike Leroy, man.
Shadow Man was like a game, I think it originally came out on like N64. It was like...
N64, PC, Dreamcast, PS1. I think that's all of them.
And it was like, okay. But
It originated as a comic book, I believe. And they adapted it
okay.
into a game. It's like a collectathon Metroidvania kind of really dark, macabre. You play as this voodoo man who fights a bunch of serial killers. Is one of my favorite games that nobody gives a shit about. Because there weren't like any Metroidvania games of that ilk at that time. And it was sort of like if you took Banjo-Kazooie and made it fucking evil. Which I was super into.
Is it like The second Shadow Man, like Shadow Man 2 Shadow 2 Man.
Yeah, I mean, basically, all we're doing now is just nobody's going to know the title.
No, yeah,
so
I think I'm going to give
it.
Ryan that point, honestly.
Yeah,
That's
he got the point. It is close enough. Yeah. It was Shadow Man Second Coming.
Second
is the title.
Coming.
That looks vaguely. I probably saw it on a shelf at GameStop at one point.
You probably had.
That's some badass box art too. I like that.
So the thing is, I love this game, the original game. This game, the sequel, is pretty bad. I believe it was rushed out, and they left half the game, like, not finished. There's a bunch of, like, portals in a hub where you're supposed to go to different areas. There was, like, rocks blocking over a bunch of them because they just didn't put portals in.
Dude,
Jeez.
Can you hold up the box?
I was so disappointed.
Hold up the box again for a second. That really is Shadow Man Second Coming, but the S in second is the number 2? How does that work?
Oh my god, I didn't even see that.
2 Ekans
Shadow Man
coming.
2 Ekans.
Shadow Man 2 Ekin Coming. What does that even mean?
All right, I gotta read the controversy, too,
It's like
from
Fan
the wiki.
4-stick.
Acclaim created a minor controversy when plans of advertising the title on small billboards on tombstones were announced, saying they would pay relatives for the advertising, adding that, quote, poor families might be especially interested.
Poor families.
What the fuck?
Can
you imagine if that happened now? Oh my god, they would be crucified.
Hey, poor families are going to be super stoked to advertise on the corpse of their relatives.
He's real fucked up. I'm not apologizing.
Acclaim created a minor controversy when plans of advertising on small billboards on tombstones. Seriously, think about Activision announcing an initiative like that.
Oh, man.
The world would collapse.
That's Konami's next big thing.
It is, yeah, after their fucking digital insurance fraud. Jesus.
Welcome to the Shadow Man Second Coming Mass Grave. brought to you by Acclaim.
Holy fuck, man.
This episode's real fucked up.
Yeah, it is. We got to some dark places
Did Acclaim
here.
fuck you over? Don't worry. Konami lawyers and insurance will cover all your policies.
The truth of the matter is that, like, I probably could not name any other games that Acclaim has made.
Really?
I think they made, like, they were involved in, like, some of those sweet Super Nintendo games, like the Addams Family.
Turok, man.
Oh, yeah.
NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
NBA Jam I would have been able to get. And, of course,
I beta tested that shit.
South Park Chef's Love Shack, the trivia game.
Clearly amazing.
You know, Acclaim had a great track record when they have an entire section of their Wikipedia page dedicated to controversies.
Jesus.
They're doing great.
You got any other good ones?
Well, they do.
Oh, it's not even that big, though. Okay, it's just the BMX XXX shit that they had. BMX XXX featured semi-nude and pornographic content added in the hopes of boosting sales, which they probably did.
Semi-nude.
Most of it, like most of its other contemporary titles, BMX XXX sold poorly and was derided for its content and poor gameplay. Weirdly.
You see, like, okay, look at the Acclaim list of games, and right between All-Star Baseball 97 and All-Star Baseball 99, apparently Acclaim developed MS-DOS.
What the fuck?
In case you're curious what MS stands for in MS-DOS, apparently it's Acclaim.
That's hilarious. Well, there's citations needed on every single one of these, so it's quite possible that Acclaim never actually published anything.
That's very true.
The whole
BMX
period of...
XXX so weird.
It was a weird game.
I remember kids would keep bringing it up to try and buy it at GameStop, and I'd be like, "You're 9. What are you trying to do here, man?"
Only a 9-year-old would want to buy that game.
Yeah.
So the mom would come up then and be like, "Look at the back of this box. Do you want your kid to buy this?" And they'd be like, "I don't care." You're like, "You know what? That's fair. This looks like shit. It doesn't matter."
It's still also like the dumbest idea of all time.
Yeah.
So you know what goes really well together? BMX biking and nudity.
Toplessness.
It just
the whole idea was to make boobs jiggle, right? So why not just make a trampoline game?
I think I've told you guys this before, and I don't even know how comfortable I feel talking about it publicly. But I do want to bring up again how relevant it is, the fact that I was once asked at some point to host a series that was featuring simultaneously featuring Minecraft seeds and porn stars.
Ooh,
like that was the video series. Is that like, it's about just as far-fetched of a combination as the BMX XXX shit, but people have these ideas, man. This is also one of the greatest early 2000s soundtracks of all time, by the way. You got yourself some Green Day, 311.
BMX XXX?
Yeah, Taking Back Sunday, Newfound Glory.
Hole.
Click, click, boom. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Oh, Saliva.
Power
I didn't
Man
see that.
5000 in there?
No, Power Man.
This is a staple of a lot of game soundtracks.
Dude, this soundtrack is, like, some of them I'm not that into. Like Click, Click, Boom, for example. But they got some actually great songs on this.
Yeah.
Some Eric B. and Rakim.
I was only being halfway serious.
Maybe they didn't want the boobs, they just wanted a nice soundtrack.
That's crazy, man.
If they focused on that instead, man, they should have just called it BMX Soundtrack Edition. It sold way more copies.
BMX OST featuring
go.
Dave Mira.
BMX MS-DOS. That would have been his big seller.
MS-DOS.
All right. I believe that's our show for today. Yay! We did
Sweet.
it!
Nice.
We did a podcast. Thank you all very much for joining us. Again, apologies for the absence last week. We don't anticipate any absences through the remainder of the year. And I think we may even be closing in on that second indie roundtable review discussion that spurred actually the idea of doing roundtable in the first place. So
February, right?
yeah, so that'll be.
I'm not excited. I've played so few games this year.
Really? Oh man, we're gonna.
Isaac will be like all 5 of your top 5.
No, dude, game of the year so far. Ignoring Afterbirth as an expansion, I gotta give it to Rocket League right now.
Duck
Yeah.
Game.
Duck Game. There you go.
Duck
Not
Game is
kidding.
Really good.
Duck Game's up there, man. Duck Game is a genuine contender.
It's good. It's real good. Thank you very much to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
You got it. You got it.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say thank you very much to our Patreons for this, or for the patrons for this month. If you want to go support the show, it's Roundtable on Patreon, aka patreon.com/roundtable. We have the $50 reward tier to thank, as well as those below. Thank you very much to Christopher Flagg, Alexander Spillman, General Crunk, Jonathan Graham, Air Force Balls, David Bradley, Matt, Julian Abelsgard, Kevin Birkland, Casey, Myth Scarab, Nullref, Mediocrities, Symph, Super Monoman, Zur, Kevin, Praise the Sunny Walker, Smurfette, Logan Ray, Giz Vandervet, Justin, Positron, Brizzlebrip, and Ignacio0891. Thank you guys very much for maintaining your support over on the Patreon page. And thank you guys very much for watching this episode of the Roundtable Podcast, Roundtable Live here on twitch.tv/roundtablepodcast, roundtablepodcast.reddit.com, and at RoundtablePC on Twitter. You can also rate us on iTunes as well. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Later,
guys.
I'm gonna desperately find the outro song right now because I totally forgot to pull that up. So
Shit.
Mathis, tell me about your most embarrassing high school moment.
I got shoved in a locker.
Oh, well,
That's really sad, man.
Yeah, why did I make you bring that up? That was so rude.
I knew it immediately.
Okay.
That's right up there, man.
Tell me your favorite high school memory.
I got shoved in a
That'll be-
locker, and they had to go get the vice principal to get a crowbar to pop it open because it got
Oh
jammed.
God.
Put me
Okay.
in.
Well, I'm just gonna play this song, then we'll say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching.
Bye again.
Bye.
Bye.